Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 451st episode of the GeekVerse podcast. I am the Clown Prince of Podcast, Trasnell, and I'm joined by...
I'm the Cad Bane, Taylor Field.
Did you change it from Boba, or are you just keeping it?
Well, I didn't have this. I didn't go with Cad Bane during Boba because it's a spoiler.
That's true, yeah. Do you feel like you're safe now?
I think I'm safe. And I mean, everyone should watch the episode if you haven't.
Well, yeah, Taylor just spoiled it now if you haven't. You're like, oh, fuck, Cad Bane? No, but like, I feel like you should save that for the finale, which is only in a few days.
No, to answer a Patreon question, I might have another nickname I might have in line for that, but we'll see.
I see. So, Taylor, we got lots coming up. I'm pretty sure this week we have a newscast almost every day. 6 days out of 7 weeks. We have 25 podcasts dropping in February, and that's 3 days. Only 3 days you're not going to be hearing from the Geekverse. A wide variety. Where can they catch all that, sir?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us via your internet connection in the search bar. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerseCast is our Twitter, and GeekVerse on our Facebook.
Wow, Maddie Seggs, we went live, and he just threw in a Patreon question now. Wow, Maddie, really waiting to the very last minute, hey? But no, we'll throw it in there. So, yeah, we got lots of stuff. So 2 notes, obviously. We did not do the Geekverse Gauntlet thing, if you saw our posts and whatnot. Taylor, people said that you're scared of Dylan. That's why you had to postpone it, that it wasn't a work thing, that you needed more time.
I had to stay late. I had to work, and I just thought, okay, like I gotta set this up. So I reached out to the lawyers, and the lawyers found an escape clause that I could actually delay this, and it paid off. So I mean, the rumors are circulating, but I mean, the lawyers are there. The Geekverse lawyers always come through.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, as we've said before. Matt, is that another one? Right at the buzzer, he says. Very nice, touche. That's why you join Patreon. You can get a question at any time, any tier, whether it's a question or topic for a newscast. We love hearing from you guys. And plus with the, from the MCU Golden Geeks, and then this week we have the Golden Geeks regular for the entire year of 2021. When we do the voting process, you guys will be voting for that as well, any tier. So that's why you want to be jumping on there. You're going to help decide who the winners are, and it's always a fun time. Are you ready? Did you watch Green Knight? Oh, you did watch Green Knight. I feel like you've watched everything. You're ready for Wednesday?
I've watched everything. I gotta remember what all the categories are and polish my list.
Yeah, I'll send it to the Discord here soon, so I'll do that. And then so there'll be a day. It was very wishy-washy because that's what we've said before. Let's check out the town hall. Yes, it's a small business, but we still have all our other jobs, and that's why it came up. And it was very back and forth, like, oh, it could happen, could not, it won't be later. So we're gonna find a new date. We don't know when that is yet, but we will find it. And I think we figured out a day where this wouldn't happen for all our jobs. I think we found a day where, okay, before we used to do Friday, Saturday, we might be leaning to a Sunday. So be sure, but when we announce it, we want to be 100% sure. So that's why it's not like, oh, next week or the week after. So do that. And then the other changes, obviously, of course, first week I said, okay, after Town Hall, every week we're going to tweet out the schedule so you guys know. So on Twitter, you get the whole week of what we're doing, GeekVerse dropping, and it's what drops on the feed. It was supposed to be now the newly named GeekVerse Side Quest, and then news would be me and Taylor on the Tuesday. But Dylan and his co-host, they had some problems where it was the guy is sick. The guy's sick, and there's a miscommunication. So he has a guest on, and they're going to be dropping Pokemon reviews. So it's one of these things that they wanted. Same thing. They wanted to be better. They didn't want like an abbreviated version and stuff like that. So they're going to drop that. I think Jessica's having a cameo on that episode as well. So that's going to be the Tuesday now. You got this. You'll have Golden Geeks. You'll have Boba Fett finale, stuff like that. Peacemaker. And then, Taylor, I hope you're all read up. We're going to be doing, the patrons we'll be doing Batman Ego this week as well for the comic versions.
I think
Thursday.
I'm just about
so you got a few days. Yeah, you got 3 days if you haven't finished that. So, yeah, tons of content. Head down to the links below, and everything we do there is going to be there. The links, Taylor's fixed the Discord link, so now it doesn't expire. Thank you for doing that because we saw a bunch of people join. I think it was Friday or Saturday, so that was really cool. So now that link will always be the same. I think actually, if you're watching live, don't listen to me, but in the audio feeds, it will be fixed because Taylor told me to fix the link, and I have not because this is the first time I'm paying Kelowna, but it will be fixed. So you want to go do that. And the other thing, Taylor, is I'm not sure if he's doing it right now, but thumbnail. You forgot about thumbnail.
Oh, I'm making it right now.
But that's why, again, not our fault. So for the people that gave us a 1-star 5 years ago, these guys never prepared. We weren't prepared to go today. We were like, okay, well, we'll be, we were going to record some stuff, but it wasn't going to be live. We're like, oh, we don't got to worry about that till Tuesday. We got days, but then we switched it up. and that's what we do. So yeah, and Boba Fett finale will be live obviously early morning, late night, but it's gonna be fun. So it's gonna be a good time. So we got a few topics to talk about today. Nothing too major, but a few good things that we missed over the weekend. Of course, we did the newscast and some stuff dropped on the Thursday. So always love when that happens. But let's start with this. Let's start with, I said last week, like, oh, we might not be talking about the Batman for a bit, and then I forgot we got the Batman predictions, but we also had this come out. So we had two things that happened. Why you laugh, Taylor?
Batman's back. It's always back.
Batman's back. It's that time. 26, when people are listening to this on the podcast feed, 25 days away. I am just frothing at the mouth, so I cannot wait. I have to ask, did you listen to the Riddler score?
I did. Yeah, you sent it to me.
Yeah, what were your thoughts? Well, I don't know. You could be lying. I don't know.
No, I loved it. It was that slow burn, and then when it got to like that center part, it was huge. Opposite of the Batman track where it was like it was high and then it went mellow, and so then it had the slow burn at the end. This was just like a chunk in the middle. It was so good, and I love the beat. It's so consistent throughout.
Well, and that's what I really like about it too, is like it's very quiet and very like mysterious and creepy and all over. And then it just like I almost feel like when it jumps to the like getting to it, it's like a jump scare. I legitimately the first time it didn't get me. I was like, geez, like I wasn't expecting that because it just is quiet out of nowhere. And it feels, again, what I've said before, very Batman the Animated Series. Just it feels very operatic. It feels very at times comic booky, which is a cool thing. So I just can't wait till we get this whole track. And yeah, S Bubs is right, pizza marketing full swing, all the pizzas. Yeah, I can't wait this week. I think so they had said the Batman calzone was coming, and then in Canada we didn't get it, but Emily got an email and forwarded it to me because I was pretty mad about that. And this week I'm gonna be getting getting the Batman calzone. Is that something you're gonna be trying at all while it's here, the Batman calzone?
I was thinking about it, but I'm not. I love calzones. I'm just not really like a Little Caesars kind of guy. But I think
it's only
I
like
might
$8 though. It's
yeah,
like,
true. Yeah, but I mean, you feel that $8 in your gut for like at least 48 hours.
That's true. So yeah, maybe I'll do a review of that. Yeah, Ticket watched this Thursday. It's going on. So I'm hoping it's actually, is it Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday, but I'm hoping Wednesday at midnight. So we'll see. But the other thing that's talking about tickets is obviously now projections are starting to come out. It's still like a month away, under a month, but now it's like, okay, we got our long-term projections. So I'm going to pull up the other ones, but the first two are the only ones that really matter. Actually, I'll pull them up on my phone. So right now, The Batman is projected to have a $135 to $185 million opening weekend. To put this in perspective, I'm going to find out what the exact numbers are of The Dark Knight, but the two biggest openings, number one, is BVS at 184, I think, something like that. Maybe I think it's 184, so that's why it's like, 185 would be it. And then for a solo Batman film, that's The Dark Knight Rises with 160. And I feel like The Dark Knight's almost like 158 or something like that, but I'm going to find out. So obviously this is pretty good because the other thing I'm going to look up too here in a second, box office 1 billion. Yeah, I knew it was 1 billion. Come on now. I was going to look up because I know obviously Spider-Man that was a $260 million opening weekend. So yeah, opening weekend for The Dark Knight was 158. So pretty good. And then, great. And then obviously Dark Knight Rises 2 million. And then I'm going to find out the biggest one, but I'm pretty sure we had opening for No Way Home was the 260 million. So we had that. And then I think Venom was just 100 million. And then after that, I don't think we've had anything high. Yeah, because we had, let's see. I hate when people keep doing this. They keep cheating with the song sheet numbers, but that doesn't count. That was a multi-day weekend and stuff like that. But let's see. Best opening weekends of two. Okay, so now I have them here for the best opening weekends of, that's 15. I'm not going to go all of them. I'm just going to go top 5. So No Way Home, like we said, 26 million. Okay. Venom 90 million, and then Black Widow 80, and the rest are all like Shang-Chi 75, stuff like this. Eternal 71, and then number 6 was Fast 9 with 70. So other than Spider-Man No Way Home, there's not been a single movie that has cracked the 100 million since the pandemic started, since Rise of Skywalker. So No Way Home was this big unprecedented thing. But so at least for that, my goal was, I said this early on tracking, and I'll refer to Brent a few times because we had a conversation about this, and me and Chris actually, where I said, as long as it beats Venom, I think that's respectable, because I feel like Batman should be able to beat Venom. But he was like, well, this is Batman, it should be a lot bigger. And I agree with that, but it is still still in a pandemic. It's a new version of Batman, which is so funny. There's sometimes when you see stuff online, we were just talking about that, but when you see stuff online and it's like, oh, people always, I still get people that ask me about Robert Pattinson and the Twilight thing and everything, and you go, oh, are people just exaggerating, or is that a real thing? I've had two people this week at work tell me like, oh, Pattinson's gonna suck, like the Twilight guy, legitimately that, and then my favorite one was this guy. I know him a bit more personally. I just said, oh, he's gonna be the best Batman ever, and then he started to laugh, and I was dead face serious, and then he looked scared because I was like, oh no, and I just go. Same thing as always. Have you seen anything else but Twilight? No. And I'm like, oh, watch the other stuff. And then you're like, oh, yeah, maybe. But that's where it's like, it happened to be two times in 7 days where, okay, there is still a sentiment of, do I really care about this guy's Batman? So I didn't think it was like a slam dunk. But if it does hit this 135 to 185, that second place, and that could even go higher. These are early projections. Taylor, I'll just ask you the simple question of, do you think it will break? I guess I'll ask you this question by question, then I'll talk to some of the chat here. Do you think it will break 100 million? Even though the projections are for that. But, okay. So do you think right now with the 135 to 185, do you think it's somewhere in there, or do you think it cracks it? Because I think before No Way Home, the biggest opening before that was Rise of Skywalker, and I think it was like 171, and 200 million obviously is a massive opening, so that would be a big milestone. So do you think it could cross that $200 million mark, or do you think where the projections have it right now are a good estimate?
I think it'll pass the 200 million. I really do. I think that this has a lot of hype, and I don't think it's just the regular comic book fan base either. I think it's a lot of like, okay, the GA sees this, and I think they're actually really excited just to get Batman back. And again, not any flack towards Ben Affleck, but I think it's just like, hey, a lot of people in the general audience are familiar with Robert Pattinson, and so they're super stoked just to have him as this character.
You think they're super stoked? Ben Affleck had like a huge... He had a huge name too. It's not like he was just Joe Blow,
He did. I just think it just goes to show like there's a lot of people, again, like you said, this associate only saw Robert in Twilight, but I think there is a large fan base there that still like grew up with Robert in that role, and they grew up thinking like they're attached to him as an actor. It's where Ben Affleck has the generation of like, our parents and like some of our generation too. Robert, I think, has like our generation and some of our parents' generations that have gotten into his films lately, and then like the next generation as well. Like a lot of people he's up and coming,
or had to take their kids to Twilight and like, this guy. So for just like referential purposes, there's only been 8 films ever that have ever gone past 200 million opening. So, and it's funny because like if it were to get to 210, it could be number 6, because you have Black Panther at 202, Avengers 207, and then Jurassic World 208. Those are all very close with one another. So you just got to hit at 210 and it's there. And like if you're hitting like 220, that's like Last Jedi. Force Awakens almost 250. I am with Taylor where I do think it's going to beat 200, because before I was very conservative. Excuse me. I was very conservative just because we don't know what's happening. But there's been a few things lately, and I think I talked about this maybe on Newscast. If I didn't, this is just a quick shout out. That Scream right now, the newest one, it just got announced. It's getting Scream 6 pretty quickly, and I think the reason is for that is if you looked at this movie that came out in its first opening weekend, it made more than the entire domestic run of the last Scream that came out in 2011. So that to me showed, okay, if Scream is still pulling in like franchise big numbers, like beating the entire movie of the last one in a weekend, it's like, okay, the box office is there. And this is where, referring to Brent, where his pitch for why Batman would do well is because, like, look at Spider-Man. You know that there's people, if they want to see a movie, they're willing to go out to pay for it. They're willing to see it. Even in these times where if you're, worried, if you're nervous, you don't want to be in a big crowd, there's people that are going to go see it. Again, I still think that you have like Maddie in the chat and then Heinz from GUA. Their theaters just open. Our theaters are still 50%. So you still got to give it that handicap of No Way Home had a bunch of theaters that were just fully open, could have everybody like 100%. And then this is like cutting it down. But I agree with Taylor why I'm jumping up and why I actually do think it's going to hit $1 billion, because I think it's going to have lots of legs. I think the good thing is there's nothing that big before it and there's nothing that big after it. So right now there's not going to be a bunch of movies kind of taking up room. And after it, I think I've said this before, I think the biggest movie coming out is Morbius April 1st. And I don't even know how Morbius is going to do. Like, I don't know what the excitement is for Morbius, but I know there was Turning Red, the Pixar movie, but that's just on Disney Plus now. There's other things, but there's nothing like if you go look at June or something, it's like stacked, or it's like December or November stacked months. March and April, not necessarily. So the Batman, if it's great, which I think it will, great word of mouth will just run game, everything like that. And I think this is where I agree with Taylor, where my adjustments have gone up, because I feel like there's all these movements that we even talk about when we do the 2020 or whatever, just any movie preview, whatever year it is. There's movies we're excited for, but then there's movies that there's hype for. And I feel like there's movies this year, like, oh, I'm excited, of course I'll see it, or I'll get around to, like, I really want to watch it, like, in the theaters, but it doesn't have to be day one, or just a Marvel or DC or even a Star Wars, stuff like that. But there's certain movies where, like, when The Force Awakens came out, that had the hype of Star Wars is back, you know? When Avengers came out, like, oh, had the hype. Endgame had the hype. No Way Home had that. Like I said, I've used this example many times. When I went to go see it again with my sister, and the waitress is like, oh, I've heard it's the best Marvel movie, I can't wait to see it. When you have the random people talking about it, and that's why I think even people that are against Pattinson, that's the reverse where it does help, because I think people are curious to go see him. I think this movie just has hype. It has hype going on right now that's more than excitement. There's levels of it and everything like that. So I do think it's gonna. I think it's a tough task. Like 180, like beating BVS. It's no slouch. Like BVS is one of the biggest openings when you look at that list. You know, and that was Batman and Superman. So I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but it's just going hype and higher. And I was gonna say here, Venom confirmed to be more popular than Batman. SBubs, but SBubs says, will ticket sites crash? I don't know about that. 96 says, my app in Cineplex for Big Cinema Chain cannot crash for Spider-Man, so I'm expecting it to happen. Hopefully not. That's tough, because as big as hype is for Batman, I don't know if it's No Way Home level, but No Way Home that was a sequel, Tom's like 4th or 6th appearance or something. We had rumors of other people being in it. I could see apps really crashing when we get to like Batman 2 or Batman 3. Like whatever Batman movie has Joker as the main villain and the marketing is like all over it, that's when I say like, okay, it could do that. But what do you think? Do you think we're going to have like ticket apps crashing and stuff like that like we did with Spider-Man?
No, I don't think we will. No, between that, because like I remember Endgame had that. Yeah, there's Spider-Man. So I honestly think and Star Wars. I think that's a Marvel Star Wars thing. I don't think it's necessarily a DC thing, at least at this point.
So you don't think even with a sequel in the future, the Batman could get to that point?
If they build to it, absolutely. Yeah. I don't doubt that. But I don't think right at the start, the starter film in this new trilogy would have it.
Yeah, I won't say this a little, but like I think if you build it in, I don't know. I was gonna say if you build enough, I wonder if Flash could get there with the Keaton hype. Like I wonder if you could really kind of turn that around. But yeah, I'm not sure. So and we'll talk about this with Kirklin getting predictions as well. But so we had Rise of Skywalker. That was the last $1 billion movie until we got No Way Home. I think it's at like 1.75. Like it's something like that. Like it's definitely past $1 billion. It's getting up there. One of the biggest movies of all time. Do you think this movie is going to hit $1 billion? Because obviously that's a lot harder to do than you can have a big opening weekend, but you got to still build that up over time.
I think if Joker did it, I think this has a chance to.
Pre-pandemic though, Joker, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But it was rated R.
We've had $1 billion movie hit in COVID time though, so I don't know if that's necessarily. I don't know if we could now say like, oh, pre-COVID $1 billion movie, because now we've had a $1 billion movie like post-COVID. So I think it's definitely warranted that this could do it, and it shows DC films can hit that again. It's just a rated R movie nonetheless.
Aquaman, they did it both Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, so they definitely can. It's funny, it's more their like solo ventures. It's funny that you'd think like the team up ones are the ones that hit the $1 billion, but like Joker, like I've said before, I would have never thought Aquaman was going to be. Aquaman is still, I think, to date, is DC's biggest movie and stuff like this. As Bo says, I think this will be in the 680 million, or 80 million, 600, 800 million, more on the higher side. It's tough because that's the reason I just lean towards the $1 billion. It's just, and I want to know, and SBubs, you may be able to tell me, is this movie opening in China? Because Spider-Man didn't have that, and it's still done super well. But if it is China, obviously that helps a lot. But I think, is Taylor trying to beat SBubs to the China? But like, it's this weird thing where lots of movies haven't been releasing in China right now because I feel like the box office between America and China is very dividing. Especially like you have things like they want them to edit out movies and stuff like that, or edit out things, and it's tough. But the reason I just literally think it's the legs. I think this is going to be that movie that has that hype, that kind of what we're talking about with Joker, where it's like, oh, you just have to see it. I think the Batman's going to have that. I think it's going to have, and like I said, if there's stuff in April and March, sure, but if you look at April and March, there's not much. Like, and I really don't know how Morbius is gonna go. Frank says, and Frank, you might be a first-time listener, so thank you. The Batman budget is 100 million. I think the Batman will be incredibly profitable, at least. Oh, 100% profitable. By the way, that's actual English. I think that's like, and look at Joker. What was Joker? Like, I'm pretty sure Joker had like a $60 to $100 million budget, and he made $1 billion. And that's why I know Fanboy Clay's in the chat. I'm not gonna give him shit, but that's why I'm like, why are you doing a Joker sequel? That's exactly why. Like, look how much fucking money. And the bad thing was, Warner Brothers didn't even get all that money because they had other people produce Joker because they didn't believe in it. They're like, we don't know how it's gonna do, so they didn't get, like, it was a mistake on their part. Fanboy Clay says 175 opening and 750 overall. Yeah, I think the opening's true. I've seen a lot of people. I think me and Taylor are more on the Fracture Wolf. Good to see you, Fracture Wolf. What do you think? We're talking about if it's gonna hit $1 billion or not. The Batman. So me and Taylor on the billion side. I think Taylor is right where it's like, we've seen it happen. It's not no longer, because I remember when we first started, I think probably 6 months into COVID, we all kind of said like, oh, the $1 billion movie, it's not going to be a while, you know? And still, it took 2 years, but it still happened, you know? And it happened a lot bigger than we thought, with No Way Home having the second biggest opening of all time, only below Endgame. And who knows what it could have done, like, in a world where all this was open. Did you find anything on the China and the Batman stuff?
I found a Reddit post from yesterday, a guy saying it's not going to release in China. I don't know how credible that is.
Yeah, it's just Kirklin Patzer. Fractual says, I think it will, but it'll take a sec. That's the same way I think too, where I don't think it's going to be like the way Spider got so quick, or like Endgame when it made like $1 billion in a weekend. I don't think that. I just think it's going to over time keep like chunking away. Like, I have to take a look at one more thing. My guess is going to be great, but struggle in terms of publicity. If it's great, people will hear and go, oh, 100%. I also don't think it's going to struggle in publicity, though. I think I see, like, every time I open YouTube, there's a TV spot everywhere. There's marketing everywhere. There's the pizza box and stuff like that. So I'm just going to bring up first showing. I just want to see what is coming up. But any other points, Taylor, on the box office, just while I'm looking this up?
I got nothing.
Okay, so let's see. So in March, you got Pixar's Turning Red, now Disney Plus. You have The Unbreakable Boy, whatever that is. The Lost City, which is that rom-com movie. That's not going to do nothing. Morbius is April 1st. So then the next week, okay, so this is where April so I'm wrong. I'd say about April 15th is when you get it. Even April 12th. But even then, you get a whole month and then some. April 8th, you got Ambulance. That's going to be nothing. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2. But now, with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I think that could obviously be number one, do very well. But if you look at what just happened with Scream, like, beat Spider-Man. And then the next weekend, Spider-Man went right back up to number one. So I think that could happen. The only thing is, I was going to ask you, too, is after Sonic, the next week, so Warner Brothers' next big film is Fantastic Beasts. And I still think in those four and a half weeks, the Batman's going to make just so much money. I think people will be going back and back. I know myself will be. What, like, I'll ask you both. What do you think? How do you think Morbius is gonna do, and how do you think Fantastic Beasts is gonna do?
Oh man, I think Morbius actually has the potential of doing quite well, but I think Fantastic Beasts is suffering from fatigue. But at the same time, I don't. I think it's gonna do better than. I don't think it's gonna do well. I think it's gonna do better than the second Fantastic Beasts. The Crimes of Grindelwald, but not better than the first Fantastic Beasts, only because I think people are going to be very intrigued to see Mads coming in. I think that'll kind of bring in some new
Really?
light.
You think that's going to be it? People are going to be...
People might boycott it because, like, oh, you know, Johnny Depp, you know, all that stuff. I'm boycotting it in support of him and everything, so
I'll take that bet. I bet you it's going to be the worst of the three. And not quality. I mean, like, money-wise. I do. Obviously, because you got the pandemic, but I just think there's... so little. Like I said, now I feel like number two, they still, the Potter fans, like, okay, like, hopefully it's good. Once you have people like Jessica and Emily saying they're not excited for it, that's when you know you're dead. You're dead in the water when the diehards are like, they can't even get excited for it. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's only a few weeks away, and then next week is Valentine's Day. Are you ready, Taylor? Have you done any shopping? Do you do gifts and stuff like that on Valentine's Day with a significant other?
No, that's cliche. No.
So you've never done one gift with your wife on Valentine's Day?
I have, like, first, not like the unconventional gifts. First year we were dating, I gave her wine glasses, and inside was candy and a key to my place. So that was kind of cool. But
and they had only been dating for 5 days at that point. Very risky move.
Very risky, yeah. She didn't even know I called her my girlfriend yet.
Well, yeah, Fiance. She's like, what? But I hope that what you guys are doing on Valentine's Day, anybody's doing. I know everyone might be a little busy, and you might be, that's a big day for maybe doing a little tummy sticks, a little under the blanket sort of activity, and that's why you want to be prepared with Manscaped, because roses are red, violets are blue. Don't let a wild pube wreck you, because I'm here to talk to you about our sponsor today, this month, all February, Manscaped. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our sponsors, Manscaped, are here to give you your best tools to get your balls ready for the special occasion. This V-Day joined 4 million men around the world and use Manscaped for the leaders of below-the-belt in grooming. You want to use our pod, GVPOD. That's going to get you 20% off. That's going to get you free shipping. And you got time, because the good thing is, I remember when we did ours, I think this things I've ordered separately and with this, I was surprised that we were in Canada and how fast stuff actually got to us. So if you're thinking, oh man, I got less than a week unless this, can my pubes be ready in time? Absolutely, because you want to be ready for that day. The holidays went by so quickly. Did you remember to take care of your package? Well, we got the best tool for the job, the Performance Package 4.0, that has a bunch of stuff. This is the thing that every guy needs in your life just to make sure and every day is a little bit more special. The number one product, and we can abide by this as we have many times in the past, is the Lawnmower 4.0, the electric trimmer designed to trim hair on loose skin. And get this, the trimmer is advanced skin safe. I've still not cut myself once. I'm very thankful for that. And my favorite thing, the 400 almost said something else. The 400K, the 4000K, it gets even better. The 4000K LED spotlight. That's what you want. So what we're proposing is maybe we should start making February 13th National Shave Your Balls Days, so you guys are ready, because, it doesn't even matter whether it's your first Valentine's Day, whether it's, 20 years in the making. Ladies, they're getting ready. They're getting all nice. They're getting dressed up. They're taking care of their stuff. You don't want to be like pulling the bag. You don't want the pants coming down and a look of you want a look of aspiration, and you want good stuff going on. So Taylor, they got a week, so they should be getting ready for Valentine's Day with this package. Are you right?
Yeah, you guys need to be getting in there. You need to do it for your girls, even if you don't have a girl and you're just going out to just find like a
self-confidence.
Self-confidence, and just pardon my French, you're going out just to get laid. You want to
on Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day, you're going out to get laid. You gotta you gotta be packing. You gotta be looking good, and you can like pump yourself up, like you do the right kind of like little like yard maintenance there, and you can add like 10 inches sometimes. So you just indulge.
And if you're like what Taylor's saying, if you're just out there, you definitely want to use the Reviver. Like that's something you're gonna need. Key, you want to be smelling good down there. But again, this is the great thing about Manscaped. What they're proposing here is why you gotta get it is because for the people that are in a couple and stuff like that. You imagine having a girl. What a neat concept. Fracture Wolf, you'll get there. When you get there, you want to have Manscaped, because for the people that are in couples, there's sometimes you don't know, are we going to have, some dances on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? There's a good shot, February 14th to Monday. It's happening. So why not be prepared? Why not get Manscaped, created for nights just like this? 20% off, free shipping, GVPOD right now. Go do it. Be kind to your men. Be kind to your boys. Be kind to your men. Be kind to your men's, and go do this. So, and we abide by it. So, we're going to take our first ad break, and then we'll be right back with, I don't know, I'm going to let Taylor choose a topic. So, we'll be right back. And we're back. So, Taylor, we got 3 things. We got Star Wars shows. We got Madem webcasting with some Lord of the Rings posters. Where do you want to go first?
Let's go into... I feel like we should save the Star Wars stuff. Let's get into Madam Web here.
Good, because I'm not prepared for the posters. So, because I got to bring stuff. So, Madam Web, this happened literally the day after we were done casting. So good for Marvel Alliance. But we had a casting. We had Madam Web. It's not known which version it is, but there are 2 versions of Madam Web, which I'm going to get into. But we heard about this movie. Very little details, and then all of a sudden, just randomly, and it's not, I guess, not official, but it was a scoop. And then Dakota Johnson, who I'm spoiling, got cast, but she posted on her Instagram just a black, it's a black screen, and then it was just a picture of a web. So clearly, very much confirming, okay, we are getting her as Madam Web, or at least that seems what has to be happening. So, Taylor, How do you feel about this casting? Because there has been two ones right now. There's been the older one in the chair that you've probably seen lots of times, where that's Cassandra Webb, and she has like she's clairvoyant. She has these visions and stuff like that. But then more recently, there's been Julia Carpenter, who you've probably heard before, and this is a bad cast for Kirklin to miss. But that's that Spider Woman he always shouts at that has like the black suit and everything like that with the hair. It's not a symbiote suit, but yeah, if you type her up, because that's the one. Every time it's Spider Woman, I tell him, oh, it's probably Jessica Drew or something. He's always like, oh, damn. But she became this. She's the Webb is the grandmother. Oh, let's see who became the next one. Webb is the grandmother of the fourth Spider Woman, Charlotte Witter. There's so much like history to it. It's funny. I've not read much of Madam Web other than her appearing things, and especially the Carpenter one. So I'm kind of so here's the thing. I have read Julia Carpenter before as Spider-Woman in Adventures, but her as Madam Web, I have more affiliation with that, her and the animated stuff. So I'm sorry I cut off Taylor. What do you think about Dakota Johnson? Because they haven't said who she's playing, but I would imagine she's probably playing the Julia Carpenter version, not the older version. They probably went with a different actress. But what do you think just overall of her joining the Marvel cinematic, or sorry, the Marvel Sony cinematic universe?
Yeah, I remember they announced this Madam Web back, like we were doing like in-person casts back then still when they unveiled this.
I think so, sure. Yeah.
That was a long time ago. I honestly thought it just kind of fell to the roadside and nothing was ever going to come out of it. But I think it's cool. I think like... when I say this, like, okay, yes, I know we got Venom, I know we got Morbius, and by saying this, like, I think it's cool that we're getting this because it's another allusion to more Spider-Man, I guess you could say, in that kind of realm. I don't know what Sony's end goal is if we're going to be getting Spider-Man. Maybe did they delay Morbius to add Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man in that? Who knows? Or are they just going to save Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and put him in the Madam Web movie now? Who bloody well knows, but... I think that the success of Spider-Man No Way Home has expedited them trying to get more Spider-Man content out, and Madam Web is definitely up there. So, hey, we're going to get a well-known actress in there, which I think she's great. I've only ever seen him in the Shades of Grey trilogy, so there's that. But she was very prominent, and I'm sure she's going to deliver a very, sexy, Arachne Julia Carpenter character, I guess. I don't know.
Did you see the whole trilogy?
I did see the whole trilogy, yes. Mm-hmm. When I see a spider, I think it kind of goes hand in hand where you have like that kind of that character or whatever that's like seduces its prey in, right? And I think that's what I'm convinced that's what they're gonna use her for. She's gonna like kind of like seduce her prey in to like kill. I don't know. She kills. I don't know anything about this character.
Most people don't, so you're gonna be fine. Okay, so I will say I'm gonna go the opposite route of that. I don't think she's gonna be used as like a seducer or anything like that. I think that. I don't think they got her anything for the 50 Shades thing. And I guess the reason I say that is because like I watched 1.5 of those movies, something like that. They're not sexy movies. They have nudity and stuff in them, but they are not. I don't know. If you are looking for hot, steamy movies, they're trying to be that, but it's definitely not that. But I will say Dakota Johnson, if you would ask me around that era, I won't. Oh no, please don't. Dakota Johnson is someone that's gone better every year. She's improved. Her performances are getting stronger and stronger. So I think she's someone good to add to this franchise. I think if you look at so far what Sony has done, Tom Hardy, Jared Leto, now Dakota Johnson, it feels like for all these Sony-verse movies, they want even A.R. Taylor Johnson, who's supposedly playing Kraven, right? They're getting names. They're not doing what Marvel did sometimes, like, hey, we're going to get a Chris Hemsworth to play Thor or Chris Evans to play Captain America. And even then, like, okay, Chris Evans was a name, but I don't think too many people knew him that much. They knew him from a few movies here and there. I would say Dakota Johnson has more popularity than him. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson's probably on that level, but even then, he's been in quite a bit now too. So they're definitely going this way, and I think that's smart because I think with these characters, Morbius, Kraven the Hunter, Madam Web, you're going to need some star power. It's not like, same thing with Thor, maybe not the biggest Marvel character in the B tier, but still maybe not one people are rushing out to. But that was in that Marvel formula. But what they also did with Thor, which you can do, is like, oh, we're going to get Anthony Hopkins. We're going to get Natalie Portman. They surround Hemsworth with a stacked cast, right? Or at least well-known names. So this, I think, is smart too. Okay, we're going to get a star. So if you don't care about Madam Web, you probably like Dakota Johnson in those trilogies. And I think she has a good mainstream appeal as well. So I think the casting, as far as a business decision, is great. As a character decision, I think it'll be good enough. Like I don't think Madam Web. I don't know. We'll have to see. The script is like needing a all-star performance, but if it is, like I said, she has been getting better. Let's say if it is Cassandra, if it is Cassandra, then this is the hot May version of Aunt May, or the hot Aunt May situation. 100%. But I had said this to Brent and Chris because they were talking about with Cassandra Webb. I think there might be a chance that Cassandra Webb, the older Madam Web, could be like a villain or an antagonist that's kind of, not completely bad, but working against her, testing her. I don't know, but I think you could see something like that. Then what Clay says, Carpenter has lots of visions. She's big in the Spider-Verse book. She can be a fun character to get into. And I think the other thing that Clay just alluded to, which I'm thinking of, is from the little I know of her and what I've seen her animated stuff, is that she has the ability to sometimes be like a bridge. Same thing like Madam Web. And I think if the older Madam Web's on this movie, Madam Web had the ability to see multiple universes and travel universes. They might merge the two characters. And I think, as bad as this sounds, I think they might use this character a lot for, she could end up their watcher in a situation, where she could bring, if you want another Spider-Verse movie together that's not on the MCU, like a live action one, she could be the excuse to do it. I don't think you need an excuse to do it. I think they could have just found a way and had Madam Web as a character, but it's Sony, right? Like they don't care. They're just like, well, this makes sense, so we'll do it. SBub says, I think people are just thinking about 50 Shades of similar situation thinking about Twilight after talking about Passing. 100%, but at least though, I think with 50 Shades, I don't think and maybe I'm wrong, I don't think she got the full-on reputation of like being a bad actress or anything. I thought she was kind of just, man, those movies were Passing. I feel like people thought he was a bad actor and stuff. And plus, it's not as kind of corny as the vampire role, I think. So, and as Bob says in the chat, and that's what I do. I think this is how we get maybe Tom Hardy with other Spider-Man. You get the other Spider-Man together, stuff like that. So, okay. I won't say excited. I'm happy to hear an update. I'm down to see it. I'm not like Sony. Again, I've said before, Morbius is a big sticking point for me because if I can at least like Morbius, I'll be a bit more excited for these. But we still got a couple more months, and plus that's on April Fool's, so who knows? It might not even be a thing. It might just be one big elaborate joke. So, Taylor, anything else on Dakota Johnson as Morbius?
No, as Morbius, Dakota Johnson as Morbius.
Yeah, you didn't hear about this. Take. Yeah. Anything else? No, so we'll see. I think the rumor is supposed to go into production later on this year. So, we'll go from there. So, Taylor Field, I'm going to you lead off with the Lord of the Rings because there's not really much news here. And again, I feel bad. Spider-Woman, Lord of the Rings, Kirklin Pat's missing this one out, but that's what happened. So, I heard some typing. I feel like you're pulling up some posters right now and everything like that. So, yeah. I wanted to ask you, there's lots of posters in particular, but I wanted to ask you about this specific one. So, the one of Sauron, right? That's the one, or supposedly Sauron. When we talk about Kirkland, that's what I'm bringing it up. Of they're invoking what Sauron is. It's the black hand. He's like holding some big like malice or something like that, and he has the spiked hand and stuff. To me, they're clearly like, this is Sauron, right? But as I've read the book, but Kirkland's much more in the lore and the history and stuff like me. He was talking to us where Sauron is much more of like a seducer, and sometimes he's described as like a a sexy elf and stuff like he's. The form that we saw in the movies is likely not the form we'll see him here. So I want to ask you, Taylor, what is this? Is this simply just a tease of Sauron, like, hey, this is what he's going to look like eventually? Or is this another character and it just looks like Sauron so they know what they're invoking? Or do you think this is just completely like they just want, like, it's kind of a trick where this is another character, this isn't Sauron, but we know people will see this and go, oh shit, like I kind of know that armor, that look, like he has that Sauron aesthetic, right? It's the same way if we see a gloved figure with a red lightsaber, that's what I was saying off cast, that could be a Sith user or a Vader, like someone like that, right? What do you take from that Sauron picture if Sauron isn't really looking like this exactly around this time? What do you think they're doing with it?
Well, I mean, whoever it is definitely evil.
It's not the good guy.
But I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know how accurate they're going with this, but
yeah,
the one thing, like some of the characters' swords, like some of them look very similar to that sword that this Sauron-like character is holding. But I mean, he looks like he's not. Like you can see the chainmail, so he looks like an individual that's probably not obviously not reached peak Sauron mode. Again, I think at this point in time, he's just like a minion of Morgoth, and he's probably a lot more in a form that we would be able to kind of recognize and not relate to, but kind of like come to terms with, as opposed to this huge towering, just godlike being that we see in Lord of the Rings. So
yeah, there's like no character there. He's just like a destroyer.
yeah,
you know?
I totally do believe. I have no doubt in my mind this is Sauron. I mean, it's just misrepresentation, unless it's like the mouth of Sauron from Lord of the Rings 3, which would make no sense.
I like that you call it Lord of the Rings 3, not Return of the King. Lord of the Rings 3. Yes, I think this is what I was saying to Kirklin, where they got a fine line to walk here. It's so tough, right? Because it's the same thing I talk about this with the Watchmen show. Of like, are you a sequel to the book, or are you a sequel to the movie? And they end up being a sequel to the book, and that was fine. And I wonder, like, this is like, is this supposed to be a direct? And I don't think it is, because Warner Brothers owns those movies. So I don't think it's supposed to be a direct prequel to the movies that we know. I think it's supposed to be a prequel to the books that you could go read, because I don't know how that works. Like, I don't even know, like, I wonder if Amazon technically, if they could end the series and be like, okay, we're gonna do the Lord of the Rings TV show now, like, about the 3 books. I don't know what the rights of the books are and stuff like that, but clearly I know these are different stories. So is it separated? I don't know. Someone can tell me that. Maybe I'll ask Kirkland that. I don't even think he'll know about the rights stuff, but it's like Taylor said, where, okay, sure, they're gonna adapt these ones, because that's stuff that I don't really know, like past Lord of the Rings and stuff. So like, with Sauron, he's a normal guy, and like, does he just be like, look more like with the armor and stuff like that, with the headpiece? Is that like his he could take that off still, right? Like, in like, let's say in like the last battle with man and elf, like when he's just this big hunking piece of armor, could he still take off that armor and be a guy under there, or is that he just like the ring race where he's just like a evil vessel of shit going on? Do you even know that?
Well, looking into it, like, he was interesting.
And also, people, I have read the books. I read these in elementary, middle school, so that's why I am a fan purely in the way of, I love Lord of the Rings. I think it's the greatest trilogy of all time. I cannot wait to get back in the world, but I'm not Mr. Trivia, so I'm going to be asking a lot of questions over these next year or so about the before.
He was he was the same race as Gandalf, so the Maya,
right?
Maya.
So that's what I mean.
He would
so,
obviously have a form. I don't know if he would look evil or what, but
yeah. So like, he technically, and this I'll ask him too, but he could take that helmet off, and there's still like a dude under there, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just don't see that in the movies at all, clearly, right? And stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's tough, because I've pitched this curriculum before where he said that, and this is why I kind of brought this up, where he's like, oh, well, it can't be that because he's looking very different this time. I think you have a very strong chance of flashbacks or flash forwards, right? So you could easily like show us Sauron looking in that form and then going all the way back and stuff like because the artwork that proposed what Sauron looks like, it's pretty similar to what it looks like in the movies, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I know there wasn't actual artwork, so that's a good thing of like, they can do that look, and it's not like, oh, you're doing the movies. It's like, no, that's the look of Sauron. So yeah, I really want to look in. I'll have to try and look into the rights thing the next time we talk about. But I think that you could easily show Sauron in his final form or something very further in the like future, and then jump back. Especially if you set him up as like he's looking like this, and if we do meet a so-called like sexy elf or a normal looking guy, and they don't even say that's Sauron, you're like, oh, that's not him, because we've seen Sauron. Like, remember how season 1 Witcher played with the timelines a lot, where half of it was in the present day and half of it was in the past, but they didn't reveal that to like the second last episode? They could easily do something like that, where you're watching scenes of Sauron and you think, oh, this is happening right now, and like, no, this is in the future. So I think you could have lots of play with it. They've spent billions of dollars, so they're planning on, sticking with it. The only other thing I gotta say, well, I guess I don't have anything to say on Sauron, but as far as these posters, I think the only thing, these posters, I do like them. I'm kind of surprised we got them now, because it's not till September. So I was like the name, the title made sense in that teaser. Are you surprised we got these posters right now? Like, or you think they're just?
It's a lot of posters.
It's a lot of posters.
Like, trickle them out a little bit, but I mean.
But even then, it's not till the fall. Like, that's like
it's not
9
till the
months
fall,
away or
but
something.
like, what if they were to drop a teaser during Super Bowl, like something super minuscule?
Oh,
like,
they've
smart. They have to have things filmed by now, I imagine. So
I hope.
They're probably just editing now. They could easily drop a little tiny thing during Super Bowl to get people like salivating for it, and then we don't have to. We just sit on it. We don't have to see anything else until like 3 months out. Put a trailer. 4 months out. Put a trailer. But.
And Amazon has the money to do it too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point, Super Bowl, if they'd have something there. Oh, I'd really like that. Because, like, and more than just here's the name of the show. Just like a 30, because that's the room right now that we have Lightyear, Doctor Strange, Moon Knight, and I've heard conflicting reports that there might be another Disney Plus show. There might not be, so I'm gonna say it's just those three. We've heard Jurassic World rumors, but these are all like 30-second TV spots. They might do the whole watch the full trailer online right now thing, but if it's 30-second TV spots, all you need is a 30-second spot of showing some beautiful shots, and that would get it on. Because I guarantee you, there's millions and millions of people around the world that still have no idea Lord of the Rings show is coming. Like, because it's at this like early stages, there's people that have no idea. But if Super Bowl you drop it there, one of the most watched things every year, yeah, that'd be a good spot. That'd be because you can't. If you look at the timing, it comes out September next year. I imagine it'll be done before 2023. So there's no like you're not gonna do like, oh, you could go watch Lord of the Rings now. Like you want to get building it up, and that's a good point. Like I did wonder like why are we dropping these posters now? It is a lot of them, but I thought just we're so far away. But oh, I want to will that into existence now. So that's a good call. But with these posters, I think the biggest thing it tells me, there's two things. One, attention to detail is great. I think all the posters, like obviously you have to do that when it's just character posters of their hands and their chests and stuff. But like it's just showing that, okay, if you thought, the movies did a great job, specifically Lord of the Rings, of those practical, making you feel like you're in the world, they're going to try and go for that. And they should with all their money, but they look like they're so, all of them, whether they're dwarves or the bad guys or the men or the elves, like they all have like distinctive looks, and that's great. And that's the second part is I think this is really trying to hit home that it's going to be very Game of Thrones, in my opinion, where it's not, oh, you're going to follow, these main 7 people. And even though that's a lot in the Fellowship of the Ring, oh God, was it 7 or 9? It was 9 people in Fellowship of the Ring, right? You got the 4 hobbits, you got Aragorn, you got Gimli, Legolas, Boromir, and Gandalf. There's 9. Yeah, there you go. I beat you. So obviously that's all that's the characters, but like the hobbits for a while were a collective, and really once we split them up, they only went into 3 camps. It was what Aragorn and his friends are doing, what Merry and Pippin are doing, and what Frodo and Sam are doing, right? It got those 3 sections. This to me shows I think it's gonna be a lot more like Game of Thrones, where you're following like a dozen characters, and there's some things I liked and didn't like about, but those middle season Game of Thrones, sometimes you'd get one scene of Tyrion, and that was your Tyrion for the week. You get one scene of Cersei, that's your scene for the week. And then if you watch it all together, it's like, okay, it's this full big story. The finale, you get a lot more. But in those middle seasons, a lot of those episodes were just, you're getting little bite sizes for everybody else. And that's why the story progressed a little slower, and it was a slow burn. I do think, and I don't think that's any problems I have with Game of Thrones, I think that this show, to me, showing this many characters is going to be like that. So do you think I'm right, or do you think I'm wrong reading that they just may want to show off a bunch of cool looking posters?
I think they want to show a bunch of cool posters, or I mean, like, it goes to show like the variety of characters and storylines we're going to be getting. And it makes me wonder, okay, how many episodes is going to be in this first season, and wow, just what the range of this. Are they going to do like different arcs and have all these characters kind of in it and then intertwine and connect them? There's a show, I can't remember what it's called. There's like 2 seasons of it. It's a zombie show that's Netflix has, and it's like each episode focuses on separate different characters, and then throughout the season all of their paths cross and form one cohesive story, and it has like the past and like the present and all these different timelines. And it's a cool concept, and I really wonder with all these characters how they're going to do it, because I mean, it could just be one cohesive story, and it just, here's like 7-10 characters, and then we're going to introduce another 10 characters and just keep the ball going.
Yeah, no, and I don't know. Obviously, I don't think they've said what the episode count is, but I could imagine it might be like The Boys. Like, I'm thinking 8, and there was, I can't remember if Invincible was 8. I feel like there's another Amazon show I just watched, something like that, where it's 8. That seems to be their sweet spot, and I think I really like that, because we've talked about the Disney Plus shows that maybe a couple more episodes would help them out, as far as sometimes they feel a little rushed and everything. So, and I'm pretty sure both seasons of Mandalorian were 8, right? And I thought like season 1 I have some problems with, but season 2 I thought was pretty perfect as far as the pacing. Boba's 7, and we'll wait and see next week, or in 2 days, if that's there's lots of people concerned of like, hey, Reacher is 10, so I'm like, okay. So I know there's lots of people with Boba that concern, and I get that concern of, hey, will you be able to fit it all? Like there's a lot happening in Boba, to be honest, and will you be rushing it? I think 8 right now has been the perfect like combo of both those two. So
Mm-hmm.
SPOP says when's it releasing? It's releasing September. It's like 1st or 4th or something. But yeah, it's releasing September as of right now. So it's still a long ways away. And I do get the idea of like you're wanting to build a pipe. It's Lord of the Rings. It's one of the biggest franchises in the world. You know, those movies are very special to a lot of people, including one here. So I get it. You got a big IP. You want to pump it out. I just was kind of surprised by like how much we were getting pumped out right now, but we'll see. So anything else on Lord of the Rings?
No, I'm stoked.
All right, so let's take our final ad break, and then we got our last topic, and we also have a couple Patreon questions, and we'll answer Maddie's because we kind of forgot about it. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So see, Maddie, this is why you don't put questions in the at the buzzer, because then dear old Travis forgets them. But I didn't forget them. I had it here all written down. I just wanted to bring it up at the time of the topic, but I didn't do that. He asked, who would you have cast as Madam Web? Now, I feel like this is very tough for you, Taylor, because you don't have much, knows of Madam Web. But if you're, like, I feel like if you're Sony and you're wanting to build a franchise, as ageism as it sounds, they're probably not, like, is there any, like, do you think there was any chance this movie was ever going to have a 50 to 60-year-old woman at the lead of it? Or do you think it was always we're going to go this younger route? Whether, even if she's playing the Cassandra Webb, like even if she's playing that Madam Web who sees the vision, she's in the chair and stuff, even if Dakota Johnson's playing that, do you think it was always going to be this age? Or do you think at one point, we could maybe go this route?
I mean, yeah, it eludes me because like I wasn't sure of this character. I didn't really know much about it, but
yeah.
Going this route, again, I think it's awesome. It's an interpretation. I'm curious to kind of see how it goes. If I had to pick someone of the older range, I mean, I don't know many off the top of my head, except for what about like a Michelle Pfeiffer? I know she's already in the MCU as another character, but it wouldn't stop Sony. It wouldn't be the first time they've recasted an MCU character.
No, absolutely not. No. So yeah, for my older one, and this is the thing where to answer my own question, I don't think they're ever gonna make a movie with older actors. I think they're just all about franchise building. I thought if Madam Web was going to be just a character or in crosswords or whatnot, for me my perfect pick, and this is not a rare thing. Mine was always Helen Mirren. She was like to me the perfect choice, especially from the animated series with the voice who happened to be Stanley's wife. I just thought like, oh, that would be a knockout, but. And for younger, like I think younger is kind of across the board because I don't think Carpenter is like that iconic of a character that there's going to be any bad choices really unless you get some actress that's really, really bad. And I don't think Dakota Johnson's that. So I think we're lucky. But there you go, Maddie. I know that's probably, not the most exciting answers, but we did it. Let's see here. And before, I don't want to forget, but let's start off with this. So we're going to talk about Star Wars right now to end off the show. We have two shows right now that are, one's a cheat because one's already kind of happening, I guess. But I wanted to bring up Charlie Randall's Patreon question here because it had to have something to do about Star Wars, and we were just talking about Boba Fett. So here's a few here. What new characters are you guys most anticipating or hoping will be shown in this week's Boba Fett? New as in not shown in live action yet. And is there still a chance Amelia Clark's character comes in? Can someone give a brief explanation of her? I haven't seen Solo in a long time. I forget her whole deal. I don't know what Solo is. Taylor, do you know what Solo is? Do you know?
So
Kira,
she went off to basically go visit Darth Maul and Dathomir, and she I guess is aspiring to take over the lead of Dryden Voss as the Crimson Dawn Syndicate's leader. At what point, I don't know exactly how far Crimson Dawn has kind of gone off, but I know that they had a very shaky dynamic and relationship with the Pikes. I don't know how that's gone in this sense because the Pikes are obviously still going strong with their syndicate. I don't know if maybe Kira would have repaired that relationship or whatnot, considering she did and was involved in stealing from the Pikes the coaxium off of the mines at Kessel. That's in the dynamic, so who knows?
Do you think we'll see her this week?
I think there's a high chance we could. I think she could be employed, and like Boba Fett's going to be looking for her teammates. It's not my go-to pick, but I do suspect there's a chance. I'd say like there's probably like a 35% chance we could see her.
35. Okay, that's still pretty low. So this is tough because I was on the vodka stream this week. It was a fun time. Got to guest on with John Rocco, who's somebody who was an inspiration of mine getting the podcast. So that was really cool. So check out that. I was on there for about longer than I thought I would. But you know how vodka stream, you get to talk and whatnot. But it was a really good time. So check that out. We were talking about this, and it's, and you know, I guess I'm going to ask you a few things that are off topic of this thing, but we're going to do like just a mini quick Boba Fett finale predictions, like conversation here. So that's been the whole rage of like, you got the lightsaber or the chainmail, right? And we were talking about, and Steven, who was on, I can't remember, was he on last time you guys were on the vodka stream? Steven, he has the big beard.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he was talking about, because one of his big worries, because he's something that's kind of mixed on Boba right now. His worry is that you're just gonna have Luke Skywalker show up with like Grogu will pick the chainmail, and tune out if you've not seen Boba Fett. So this is your chance. He'll pick the chainmail, and then because of that, he'll be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go drop you off at Tatooine. And then when he drops him off, like this whole thing is going down. So like,
let's fucking go. Luke takes on Cad Bane. Oh.
Well, yeah, but see, that's where some people are the reverse of like, it's Boba's show. Do you really want Luke coming in and like saving the day? Plus, what I brought up of why I wouldn't want that is we literally got that in Mando season 2. Like that's the finale, as Luke shows up and saves them from life or death, right? So I really don't think so. I'm still in the camp of I do think he's going to pick the lightsaber, or he'll pick the chainmail and Luke will be like, it was a test and attachments are good. So now you're a Jedi, you know, like. I just think, and that's where after more thought about it, I do think, and it's not because, it's what Travis wants. I do want a Luke and Grogu show, but if we don't get it, that's fine. I'm just looking out for more of the story, and I think
you said the other week it was like 100% or whatnot. You said that we were getting the Luke and Grogu show, though, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be pissed. That's like what I think will happen, but if they came and said, no, we're not going to be like, okay, cool, we got it. I think there's lots of potential there, but the thing is, for me, if you get Mando season 2, and the finale is, okay, he gives off Grogu, right? Let's say you skip Boba, and some people won't, but let's say you skip Boba, and you pick up right at Mando season 3, and Grogu's just with him. What a fucking waste. What a waste, in my opinion. What a waste season 2 of Mando would have been. The whole time, like, you got to find Grogu his place, and then what happens? He just gets given right back. That's to me and that's what we were talking about the vodka stream, where him and Rey, who's liking it more than Steven was, but Rey was worried that this finale and what could happen is it might be more about moments and story. And to me, if Luke and Grogu show up, where yes, you're right, that'd be a cool thing. He's back on Tatooine, he's in the battle. But for me, story-wise, I'd have to, of course, I'll let them play it off and see and write it, you know. But for stories, I'm like, that just doesn't work for me for this season, but also for Mando season 2, because it would feel like a waste of time. It would feel like the show is just trying to do moments and of like, the only reason we had. To me, they gave Grogu to Luke because that made complete sense story-wise. And even if we never saw Grogu again on Luke, it would make sense like he trained him. And let's say we see Grogu 10 years from now. It's like, he was trained by Luke. To me, if it is, we had this whole season just for Luke to save them and then give him right back, that's where it does feel like it's leaning more towards moments and not the show. Like, it doesn't make sense for Luke to just give him right back. And I know, and I'll let you go after this because he will answer Charlie's questions more too, but I know everyone keeps fucking flagging me with, well, have you seen this comic book where they say Kylo Ren is his first student? How many fucking times do we gotta go through this? I've said this since 2015. I'll say this till the day I die until they prove me wrong. Canon doesn't. You know what I'll say? Canon matters when they want it to matter. Maybe I'll change that because canon does matter. They have been changing things, showing some things off, but at any chance they get where they're like, this is canon, but it doesn't really fit what we're doing. They just take they lick their thumb and they just like smudge the ink. They're like, no, like that didn't happen. And it's not big things, luckily. It's not like Luke's back alive, but just little details, right? Like we went about this with Yoda's lightsaber and everything like that, or Rey and Poe meeting in one book and then they don't know each other until last year. Like there's been all these things where and it's funny because when I read this article, I think it was comicbook.com, down below they had like a list. I was going to forward it to Taylor to make him mad, but I wasn't going to. But they had like a list of all these times they've contradicted canon. So people saying, hey, they said that doesn't mean anything. If it didn't happen in movies or TV shows, they can still change it. Look at, what's his name's Kanan's origin. Like they changed that and everything like that. So I personally do think he's still going to pick the lightsaber. And I do think what I'm getting back to the Emilia Clarke thing, I think we've met enough characters. From getting Ahsoka, Luke, Grogu, and then Cad Bane, I don't think we need any more for this finale. Of course, it could be hype, but I feel like 5 and 6, that was a perfect time for hype, get us going. Finale should be, even though I didn't really enjoy it, it should be the ending of Boba's story here or what he embarked on, or even though I don't think it's much of a story, I think even the Pikes just coming back, I think if you've not read comic books or you've watched Solo a couple times like Charlie's referring to here, you're probably like, what the fuck are the Pikes, like who are I think they've done a bad job establishing like the main villain of what this battle's gonna be. So I think the finale should be about Bobo and Bobo the Fett should be about Boba, and the end credit of this should be him, you know, whatever the decision is, deciding he's staying with Luke and they're going to train him, and maybe that leads to a show announcement. So I know I laid a lot there, Taylor, but how do you feel from we're, you know, like 5 days removed from the episode, but then we're 2 days before the finale? How are you feeling about what's going to happen in the finale and Grogu's decision? And then I'll adjust some of the stuff in the chat here as well.
So I am inclined to say as much as I want it, I don't think we're going to get any more characters. I think that is like it, the one and done. Like we've gotten so many. Mm-hmm. That being said, I do think there is a chance, like I know I'm being kind of hypocritical here. Finales and like the last 5 minutes of the latest Star Wars films, they usually like to just throw something there just to make the fans go crazy. And I think we're in store for that. This episode was a lot of buildup. And again, we got that. If you look at the past Mando seasons, Mando season 2, we got Boba Fett and we got they just
Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan. They went crazy with that. So and Luke, yeah. So I think this finale is gonna have some crazy shit in it. I'm trying to think of the other part of your question.
We were talking about Grogu and his decision. How are you feeling 2 days before the episode's gonna air?
I think you make a good point. Like he could totally be like, "Oh, I pick, I want the chainmail," and Luke's like, "Oh, you passed the test. You can have both."
Yeah.
But watch Grogu like pick the chainmail, not for the chainmail, but just to go see Mando, and Luke's like, "Oh no, you're not going back to see Mando." Like,
no matter what he chooses, Luke won't let him leave. No, you're not going.
But I do think though that when you're dealing with the whole canon thing and the comics thing of like Luke's first student, I think people need to kind of get off their high horse because that can be interpreted into so many different ways. And it could
be... From a certain point of view.
Exactly. It could be just rumors or hearsay of like, oh, wow, here, the Jedi first apprentice was not actually... Ben Solo, but it was really just Grogu, and maybe Luke kept it secret.
That's the argument I saw, though, that people at first were like, "Oh, well, no, the comic just said that Ben Solo was his first apprentice, where this would be his first student." But they could still easily play that up like that's kind of what they meant by student, is like, okay, he teaches them all, but Ben Solo's the one he really did the one-on-one sessions that I'm going to train you to become a great Jedi. He failed miserably. This guy had the power. It's been said by multiple characters, Kylo Ren has stronger power than Darth Vader, and this guy just fucked up. Way to go, Luke. I love that meme going around where you're just like your father, and then it's him standing over Ben Solo. Yeah, so good. And let's address some of these questions, because I'll ask you one more thing about the Grogu, but some of these people in the chat. S-Blub says, I don't think we'll see any more animated characters making their debut. I'm expecting either Kira or Sol themselves. So that's a good thing. I was going to say what Charlie asked, where do you see any like new debuts? I don't right now. I think we got our most. This might be minor spoilers, but I will go back to I should have asked I'll ask you the Grogu thing after again. This could be minor spoilers, but these are just rumors. But me and Clay had talked about this. We were recording a Patreon special for GOA, and he had heard some things. I had heard some things, and we kind of like compared notes. And we had both heard from and not sources like we are in the notes, just like rumors, people like that we follow, that Han Solo was rumored for the show. Now, I don't think it fits. I really don't see why. I don't see why in one episode without explanation why Han Solo come to Tatooine to help Boba Fett, considering everything that happened, So I don't believe this one, but I wouldn't put them past them. And that's been the biggest worry too, is that people are worried they're going to do like the original 3 all like animated and whatnot, or like CGI'd or deep faked and stuff. So what do you think the chances are of seeing so Kira, we kind of said that I don't think so. I think Kira, like Fanboy Clay says another question, that there's rumors of a show. We've heard that a few times, but it got more heavy again this year with #show. I could believe that. I just don't think she's going to be in here yet. What do you feel about Han Solo, though?
I don't think Han Solo would appear I think, you know, maybe as like an adversary or something like that. But I mean, the last time they would have seen each other would have been Han Solo sending him into the Sarlacc pit. I don't think Boba is going to be keen on be like, hey, Solo.
Yeah.
So not going to happen. Kira, much more likely.
Even if it's just like to me like an end credit, like she's the next antagonist or something like that for Boba, like that's how I could see it. I don't even see her like what, because I feel like when you're like, oh yeah, he might need some muscle, but I just feel like that's what the last 2 episodes were to like get him the muscle, right?
Yeah,
like
he's literally
like
he's literally
Call Band.
probably having sex with Leia right now, having little Ben Solo.
Whoa.
Like he's not able to just like get up and just go fight on the sands of Tatooine.
Pikes are used as or Crimson Dawn is Pike's muscle, so there you go. Pamela Clay mentions that. Let's see. To force Grogu to make that decision is another example of the Jedi are ass backwards called. Oh, 100%. If that's not a test and Luke is like, oh, I was just seeing what you do. Like, you can have the chainmail and lightsaber. The Jedi are fucking awful people. They're weird. They ruined everything. They're so single-minded, and if they would have just let Anakin fuck Padme and be public about it, we'd be so like the Emperor would have not had anything over this dude. Like, they've created their own problems, you know, and that's something that I was rereading some stuff about the Colin Trevorrow script, and I really like that because I guess there was one moment where like Leia says that to Rey because she's like in love with Poe, and she's like, oh, I can't do this, and she's like, what? Some like old dude 1,000 years ago made this rule? Like, why would you follow it? You know, so what we could have got there, even though I don't know, Rise of Skywalker. Let's see. Well, actually, Yoda's lightsaber was destroyed in the comics, so that means the sequels are retcon now. Oh yeah, I suppose it's right. All the sequels don't matter. They're remaking the sequel trilogy.
No.
They're remaking the sequel trilogy.
Jedi have multiple lightsabers. Anakin made 2 lightsabers in his time. When he lost his first one, he made a second one. And again, the lightsaber looks different from the one he lost. Yoda clearly made another lightsaber when he was on Dagobah.
This is where I haven't been following, but I think because I can't remember Joe, I think shared something with you or something where then someone had another panel of like Yoda saying he would never remake his lightsaber. So it just goes back and forth. People forgot that Star Wars kind of invented retcon. Well, and it wasn't exactly a retcon, but like, yeah, George, whatever you want to say, George did not plan Luke and Leia to be brother and sister, right? So it's like even that, like you could say it's a reveal, but even himself, like, oh yeah, we're gonna change that thing. And then Alden Ehrenreich walks in. Oh man, I'd be, I guess I could give him another chance, but as we talked about before, that would just be weird in this era. So Han was still blind; he didn't even see Boba Fett. He didn't even see Boba fall. That's 100%. So go ahead.
I got some deeds here. So Yoda lost his lightsaber fighting Sidious, yada, yada, yada. So subsequently, Yoda didn't want to wield another lightsaber. However, he kept another lightsaber in a box in his hut in 3 years after Battle of Yavin. And after his death, the lightsaber ended up in Luke's possession.
Yeah, it's a very convoluted thing, but I don't care. It's his lightsaber. Cool.
Wikipedia, can't deny it.
Well, I don't know. I could change Wikipedia, you know. So, no, and that's what I was going to ask you because you didn't answer that. Do you feel if... Well, he's saying yeah, like he did.
I gotta claim to this. It doesn't matter like if Han was blind because Han doesn't know who he hit. It's Boba who knows what happened. Boba, he's the one who's not gonna call upon Solo for help.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, do you feel if Grogu does just go back to Mando, do you think not that season 2 is a waste, but do you feel like it's kind of like
detracts it a little bit?
Yes, that's the best way of putting it. Yeah, this whole journey.
We got this whole setup of like, wow, okay, Grogu is going off with Luke Skywalker. This is absolutely fantastic. We're gonna get some great adventures coming from this. And then it's like, oh, they snuck in 2 episodes in the Book of Boba Fett that kind of retcons that whole thing.
Well, not retcons, just explains it.
Explains it and kind of does is a takeaway, a disservice to the whole buildup of what we could have got. Because they know people want a Luke in Grogu show. Why else would you hire someone who does an amazing deepfake of Luke Skywalker if you're only going to use him for 2 episodes in the Book of Boba Fett? I'm sorry, but that's not going to happen. They're going to give him a more prominent show.
And obviously, like I really enjoy it, you love it, but what do you think that would do to your rewatch of Mando when you have Mando season 1 ends and the armor says you got to find out where this guy is from and get him back to his home. And then season 2 is all about you get him back to where he's supposed to go. And then season 3 picks up just with Mando and Grogu on adventures again, you know? And especially because like
I'd still like it. Like I'd still love the show.
yeah, but again, don't you think it would detract a little bit though? Where you're like, oh, like
no,
why do we?
Not for me personally.
To me, it's just like you spent a whole season trying to get this guy from point A to point B, and then it's just like, no, you should just kept him at point A the whole time. You lost your ship. You lost Cara, dude. No, you lost all this stuff for like really, like literally no reason. Like he spent a month with Luke. Like why? Like why?
I guess, but in this whole adventure, it just shows him literally destabilizing the Outer Rim Empire sector. So that's a huge thing that is not undone with this whole adventure.
Yeah,
so,
but that's not because of. I think that's like some of the because obviously he had Grogu.
It's definitely because of Grogu though, and him trying to get Grogu to his people.
But you still could have done that if Mando was just protecting Grogu and they wanted Grogu, right? You didn't need the Jedi Luke thing at all. You know, you didn't need, and that's why I just wonder, like,
yeah, but
did
if
they use
Jedi Luke didn't come, then they all would have died, right?
Yeah, no, I know, but then you'd find a different way, Plo Koon. But no, you'd find a different way where they outsmart. Like that's my worry is I don't want this. Where I do agree with some people, I don't want the season 2 of what we got with Grogu trying to get to Luke was just so we could introduce Bo-Katan, just so we get Ahsoka.
Yeah.
To me, in season 2, they feel like natural story points. But then if Grogu just goes right back with Mando, it just feels like a null point. It's like, okay, you guys wanted the moment of Luke. Like, because then to me, it's not really... We've all said that Luke Skywalker makes so sense to take Grogu and train him, where it's like, if he just gives him right back or he leaves, then to me, it's just, yeah, you... not that you wasted the Luke thing, but it's like, then you should have saved it. You should have saved it when it was something for meaningful. Even if it's just a comic book of Luke Grogu, an animated show, that's why... And even for me, the last point I'll say before we get to the story was... I feel like Boba Fett, that episode of Mandalorian, also set up Mando where he was going to go. So it set up, okay, Grogu can stay with Luke and train, and Mando needs to go to this little cave and prove himself worthy again, right? So it felt like, oh, they've given Mando a story where it doesn't revolve around Grogu. So when we pick up, we know where Mando's off, where I guess he could still go do this. And I know what people say, like, oh, that little cockpit in the back, that's where you'll put Grogu. But to me, I'm thinking it might happen eventually, but I think it's a red herring. I think they did that on purpose so everyone thinks, oh, Grogu's definitely going to go back because he did that little thing. But I don't know. I really hope not. I really hope he doesn't go, just because I feel like, not for me wanting the show, I just feel like it kind of hurts the story, you know?
I feel like it's a dangerous spot to put Grogu because we all seen R2
Yes.
in a trench run on A New Hope. So, I mean, one laser shot and he's fucking toast back there.
Yeah.
But,
oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, on the topic of other characters we could see that kind of popped up in this show, this is a loose one that I threw my prediction down on Twitter and everything like that. I really just have an inkling. But again, I doubt they're going to put any new characters in here. But it's tricky. If a Hondo Anaka somehow makes his way into this finale, it's going to blow my mind. Again, we know he's got history with Boba Fett. When Boba in the Clone Wars showed up with Aurra Sing and Boba had the condolences from Hondo, Hondo's like, I knew your father, like, great man, all that stuff. There's a little bit of a chance where Boba's like, I need to call Hondo in here. I need some backup. And if it happens, that'll be like the ace in the hole.
Or it could be saved for a season 2 if they get a Boba and stuff like that, you know? Like
that's true. They could. But I don't think we'll get the season 2 because I think whatever happens in this is just going to be a fallout of Mandalorian season 3. So...
yeah, I guess we'll talk about that on late Tuesday, early Wednesday. But how we actually started this, so thank you, Charlie, for the questions, was there's 2 shows right now that are rumored. And like I said, one's a cheat because the first is apparently, it's just a rumor right now, but season 2 of Andor has apparently been greenlit. They travel to Galaxy's Edge, and it's all one big Disney parks tie-in. I'd love to go there, you know? People still want Omega to show up. I think we're a little far off from that. I feel like Omega could show up when the Bad Batch finishes. Do you agree with that, Taylor?
yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll close that out, and then it's kind of like, okay, they're free game. As long as I don't see fucking Wrecker, I'll be happy.
Wrecker.
I don't need Wrecker.
Tamora Morrison playing all of them with the white teeth on all the characters.
Oh, no! Yeah, I forgot we're going to get Cody and Obi-Wan, supposedly, so... yeah, so the rumor is right now that Andor has been greenlit for a season 2. And then the other thing is that we're getting I can't remember which specific book. Clay, you're in the chat, you'll tell us, because I know you and Kate are big fans. Me and Taylor have skipped those, like the children books of High Republic, but there's going to be a High Republic animated series that's adapting some of these stories or kind of bringing them in. What do you think about these 2 new pieces of Star Wars content if they're true, Taylor? Because they're still just rumored, but, you know, lately lots of rumors about stuff been supposing true, and I don't think these are like off the wall. Andor season 2 doesn't like shock me. It does surprise me a little bit. Like, oh, okay, we're gonna do multiple seasons, all right. But what do you think about this?
When I hear the Cassian Andor series, I get excited because I kind of interpret it as something maybe like along the lines of like John Krasinski, Jack Ryan kind of thing like that. I get excited at this kind of espionage or kind of like behind the scenes kind of tactics in a Star Wars series. So to hear this something along the lines of like, hey, we got season 2, it just tells me, okay, they've got like a really long, good story that's probably extending over 2 seasons, or they're just, I don't know, it's just one season kind of thing that'll just not continue on, but just there's something about this that's going to be really pulling and drawing and attracting for the people. That's how I take it. I'm just excited. I really, really am. I love Cassian in Rogue One. He's not my favorite character. I was a Chirrut absolutely all the way. He's my favorite guy to go to in Rogue One, but I absolutely love K2SO. He was very much like top 3 favorite characters in that movie. Yeah, I just think it's great. I think there's a lot that they can dabble into. Even though the character's dead, it doesn't bother me because heck, we've dealt with Star Wars content that has dead characters in it already. Like we're gonna be getting the Obi-Wan show, but everyone's happy to have Obi-Wan even though he's dead, right? So
yeah. What about the High Republic stuff? Clay says they didn't give a specific title or adaptation. We just assume it'll be a test of courage and the characters it had. So there you go. What do you think about? Because also we got Acolyte, which is covering the tail end of High Republic. We got that game, Star Wars Eclipse, which of course couldn't have not just had some controversy around it, but that game still, I imagine, coming out and everything like that. So you got 2 High Republic things kind of confirmed. What do you think about this one?
It's a great way to kind of get people's feet wet. I think let's dabble a little bit more into the High Republic era. I think it's going to be pretty groundbreaking to have the first High Republic content actually be more of a visual representation on screen. We all know the animation style for Star Wars is definitely fantastic. If they roll with that Clone Wars Season 7 final season like animation, I'd be all for it. So definitely sign me up. But I think it's something we need. Like, we need to get more well-versed in this. And they must know not everyone is reading the books. Not everyone is diving into the comics of the High Republic. So what better way than to introduce something like this? This is going to work for the general audience that have the kids that are into Star Wars, and they're going to be watching with their kids. So it's just going to kind of create that whole new medium that reaches out, a representation of Star Wars this era, reaches out to a whole variety of new fans, which is great. That's what I love. That's one of the things I've always said with Assassin's Creed. You got the movie, you got the games, you got the comics, the novels, you got so many, the whatever Netflix show, whenever that comes out, but all this diversity for everyone to tap into something. And I think that's where Star Wars can just absolutely blow it out of the water. And this is the first step into this era because, and I know I'm going on a tangent, there's a lot of skeptical people still in the High Republic, people in the comments and stuff saying like, I don't know if I should get into this. Like, are the books worth reading it? Yada, yada, yada. Yes, first of all, the books are worth reading it. And second, this will help you because then you may not have to read the books. You can watch the show, or if you love the show, you can go back and read the books. So it just kind of helps add to the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like, I get your comparison with Assassin's Creed. I think Star Wars is much more of a 4-quadrant, can bring in lots of people and things like that. So High Republic makes. I'm always down for more animated stuff. Like, how would you feel, Taylor? Though, like, if it doesn't have what if they do a different animation like they did with that? What was that show that came out?
Resistance.
What if they did something like that or a different style? Would that kind of turn you off?
I didn't mind Resistance. I watched through all that, and eventually, like, the animation style becomes irrelevant if you get really good character development and storyline. And I use this as an example. Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous Season 1. The animation is very rough for me at sometimes watching it. But the story and the development and the characters are fantastic. And if that's anything to say with this new High Republic series, it could be bad animation. Maybe it's got a low budget and they just keep building it up as it progresses. Or they just decide to go with something flamboyant and Cartoon Network-y like Star Wars Resistance animation. Either way, if the development of the characters and the story is really good, I'm going to be there, and it's all I need. So,
Yeah, the only thing I say this, I still gotta watch Bad Batch because I still I liked it enough. I was not the biggest fan, but I do gotta complete it, and I will. So my only thing about this is, and it's the same way I feel about Miss Marvel coming up when they said it's a bit more kid oriented, and I go, okay, like how kid oriented are we talking about? Because I do believe that you can make family and anime and all this stuff for everybody. And it's I think there's a difference between kid oriented and family oriented. Kid oriented to me is just for you're only gonna like this if you're 10 and under or something like that, right? Where family oriented is like it could be for everybody. So that's why not that I worry because I'm the same as Taylor. Where if they make a show that's kid oriented, that's cool. I don't like me and Taylor might not be watching or reviewing if it's very like because some of those High Republic books that are more kid like oriented and stuff. They look very, and Clay would have a better check out Star Wars Alliance because him and Katie have read these. But some of them, like the artwork and stuff, look very, very like toddler esque in a way, like stuff where it's like nothing's gonna appeal to me. So if it's like that, clearly this show doesn't appeal to me. But that's to me not a bad thing. It's the same way as like DC Super Pets of like people not counting as a DC movie, stuff like that. It's like I don't really care because like that's just for a different audience, you know. It's like cool, and I'll be watching it too, but because that's hopefully a family one. But it's just like all this stuff. There's like the DC Supergirls that Gwen watches, where it's like I can't get into this, but she loves, it, and that's all that matters, you know. So it's just like uh, if it's a show that me and Taylor, that's kind of like Clone Wars or Bad Batch, where it's like okay, maybe it's a bit more younger audience, but still some stories. Great. If it's not, and it's just still to get kids interested in Star Wars or like Star Wars content, and they have something that they can watch age appropriate, that's fine. I think the biggest pro that I have about this is just that there is more High Republic stuff. Because like I said, if this is confirmed, that's three things. That's a TV show. It's near the end, but a TV show, a game, and then another animated show. And I hope we get more. And I've said before, the fact that I wasn't on the newscast last week, but with you guys talking about Star Wars adapting more books, my hope is that they literally just do one time like, oh, we're going to do The Light of the Jedi. You know, it's like, yeah, you've read the book. You know the story. Even if it's animated, but like give me, the story about the High Republic and Starlight Beacon, and give me the story about Elzar and Avar and Greystorm and Marshon Rowe and Bell and all that. Like, because there's so many people that have not read these books, and I guarantee you will never ever read these books. They won't even touch them, and I'm not even talking like the hater people. Just if they don't read books, I'm not gonna read the Star Wars book. But there's a new series, a new animated movie about Star Wars. Oh, I'll check that out. Hour and a half, done. So I'm down for more of that. I've always been weird why Star Wars is like, oh, we did the book. That means we can't do it in animated or live action. It's like, no, it's just adapt. Like that's what book adaptions are. Like that's just it's adapting the book. It's like just adapt it page to page. You can change some stuff like for cinematography or maybe a line or two, but it's an adaptation. So I hope they get more loose with that. So I'm someone that casting was my favorite character. I'm a little biased because like I love Diego Luna, but still I really liked that character and the edges he had. I'm not like this show like has much more for Taylor because it's like in the midst of the dark times and stuff like that, and I guess more years like Clone Wars and everything. But still, I feel like this still fits into some of your like the Empire's running hot and there's gonna be some political stuff. And for me, this is all about season one, how it goes. If they give me casting with Jabba the Hutt, then I'll give them a complete pass for season two because they are assholes if they do not let Diego Luna have his scene with Jabba. Like. I don't get it. He's pitching it. He wants to touch Jabba. Just let him touch Jabba, But it's funny because I think they had said, I don't know if this is a rumor or not, that it's supposed to take place 5 years before Rogue One. So maybe each season would be like a year or something. So all depends for me. I gotta see how it goes because I just know with it being so close, it's not like who do we have in the show right now? Luke Skywalker, right? Mm-hmm. I know for Boba Fett, I know his ending. He's going to end up on a rock. He's going to pass out, and then he's going to disappear, right? But that's still like 30 years away, and there's still so much story stuff and character stuff you can do with him. With Cassian only being 5 years away from his doom, it's like, to me, there's only so much growth, especially because most of his character growth is in Rogue One, where I go, I don't know how much you can really do here. It's kind of like similar to what they did with Han Solo's prequel. So once I see season one, I'll be a better guess that, but at least I guess if they think they're doing a season two, the people at Disney like it, like whoever's in charge of greenlighting this stuff, they looked at the season and went, oh, this is worth to do another one, so let's do it. So anything else on those shows or the points they made or anything?
No, I got nothing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. Golden Geeks will be long, so I don't know what's gonna happen. If something massive breaks on before Wednesday, we'll have to do some sort of news. But for this will be primarily the news for the week. But yeah, if something happens, Golden Geeks we'll have to talk about. But that'll be Golden Geeks. We'll have Boba Fett coming up. We'll have Peacemaker. So lots of stuff. So hope this kind of hits your news feed or something, or your news frenzy. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying here. Been a long weekend. I'm not excited for Monday to go back. Everyone's listening to this probably already at work, and oh man, we're at Monday. But big thank you to tuning in, Taylor. Thanks for joining, and we got to talk about some Star Wars, so that's always a good time. Boba, you excited? Couple more days.
Oh, I am so excited. I got tonight's sleep, then tomorrow's sleep, and then we're home free. Ooh.
There you go. We're very close. So be sure to check us out for that. Be sure to check out the debut of the GeekVerse side quest this week, and I promise you, we promise you, it'll not be boring.
Bye-bye.